For the first time in over 10 years, Dragon Ball Xenoverse's gameplay has changed, but that's not the only thing that's changed. The stages have massively changed too, as in over 10 years we have not had an ice stage in a Dragon Ball game, especially coming out with the game and not as paid DLC. And taking notes from the way Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 and other games design maps, not only is this ice stage extremely big, but it has insane verticality. And since this is the first ice stage since the beginning of Dragon Ball Super, that means we are 100% getting the Dragon Ball Super Broly story mode at launch. Hello everyone, it's me again, Steedoj here, back some more Dragon Ball Xenoverse 3, and I wanted to talk about the new stages and the new gameplay, but first I do want to mention, yes, because the game is launching with an ice stage, we're actually finally going to have Dragon Ball Super Broly actually in the main story. I feel like I need to get that out of the way really quick, because it's extremely weird that Sparking Zero didn't have that, despite having Broly and Gogeta as pre-order characters, and having a giant story mode that goes all the way up to Dragon Ball Super. So Xenoverse 3 is going to be the actual first game that adapts Dragon Ball Super Broly in its story modes, like actually proper for real. And I think that's absolutely insane because Dragon Ball Super Broly is super old now. So the fact that it takes this long for Dragon Ball Super Broly to finally get some adaptation. Now, as much as I wish you could destroy this stage and just turn it into like a volcanic wasteland, Xenoverse 3 has shown zero signs of stage destruction. So it's like Sparking Zero in some other ways. But for real, I am actually very glad that we finally get the snowy tundra in a Dragon Ball game, because the one in Xenoverse 1 and 2 doesn't cut it. It's basically just a really bad recreation of the second coming of Broly movie's location, which is why there's basically barely any ice and snow. The ice and snow part of the stage is genuinely like 8 to 12% of the map's overall size. Most of it is just water and like some kind of dry land, which is just really disappointing. And oh my god, this isn't even getting started on how good the Red Ribbon Army map is going to look, because obviously they're going to adapt Superhero in this game as well. Xenoverse 2 actually did adapt Superhero in some capacity. So Xenoverse 3 being able to do it isn't absolutely insane at all, because again, Dragon Ball Super Broly basically didn't get adapted at all in Xenoverse 2. It's so different the way they always do Dragon Ball Super Broly. They've done Dragon Ball Super Broly like 3 times in Xenoverse 2, and it's just been super weird and not at all like Dragon Ball Super Broly any of the times. Maybe they'll do something a bit more unique with it when they finally do it in Xenoverse 3, because again, I want to remind you guys, Dragon Ball Daima is also fully animated too, so there's a good chance that the story starts with that at launch, and we don't have to wait for that as a DLC story. That'd be very cool, especially because SSJ4 Daima Goku is already a DLC character in Xenoverse 2, so it wouldn't be insane to say that he's a launch character in Xenoverse 3. One thing I do have to say I love again about this stage though, this stage has absolutely insane versatility when it comes to its design. Even from the screenshots alone, you could see how much of this stage just looks different. And I want to remind you, this is not a multiple stage thing. Again, Xenoverse has never done multi-stages where it's like, oh, it's one stage taking place in the same area, but just in slightly different locations of that same area. Like, no, Xenoverse 2, Xenoverse 1 didn't do that. All the maps are massively different. So this is just a really big map that has a massive surface area and seemingly a downward slope or some sort of breakage in the ice to get you to the underground ice cavern section, because you could see in some screenshots there is clearly just a sky like right there, and then in other screenshots like the Kaioken one, for example, where we can actually see the ceiling of the location, there is no sky. That's just the top of a cave. So in one stage they have this giant open top surface area and this big vast underground ice area. You can actually see again in the battle style screenshots where the characters are clearly standing on the surface, and then the lighting gets way darker to show that obviously they have moved to the underground cave section of the map. And I think that's just so unbelievably cool that we're getting stages that big. Now it makes me wonder, why are the stages that big? How fast is the gameplay going to be with the character's movement speed? They did already advertise Xenoverse 3 is going to be faster than Xenoverse 1 and 2 at the top of the V-Jump page. So I'm curious how much faster they mean by that. Who knows? Maybe it's to actually incorporate the 2v2 and 3v3 style gameplay, where the maps will be so big that people will basically just be really far apart when they're fighting each other. A good example is the Rocky Mountains map in Xenoverse 2, where that map isn't like super giant by any means, but if you do a 3v3 on that map, everyone spawns in a different place of the map. Two people spawn in the middle to fight each other, 2 people spawn on the far left, and 2 people spawn on the far right, and they're all just basically boxing each other on their different sides of the map. So maybe it's going to be like that too with this map, where people just fight each other in really vastly different locations. Archipelago is another great example of a map where people start very far away from each other, and it's just huge because it's meant for a giant, like big, all-out like Xenoverse brawl. Now, with maps like this in mind, I'm wondering if we'll actually eventually get stuff like Beerus's Planet as a stage, because it is really weird how we haven't had Beerus's Planet as a stage in anything other than Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. Hell, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot even has Beerus's Planet as a stage. You literally just look at that and just copy the design of it like one to one. Put the giant pond that's outside Beerus's house exactly where it is. Put the big tree exactly where it is, because that's a stage that we really see the characters fighting Superhero. I feel like that should have been a stage by now, Beerus's house, because they go there a lot in all of Super. They just go there to train, they go there to spa, they go there to just chill. while they wait for the story to happen, etc. So Beerus's Planet, 100%, a million percent should be a stage in this game. If they don't do Beerus's Planet, that'd be kind of disappointing, but oh well, maybe we'll get an actual version of the Tournament of Power that isn't just one random corner of the Tournament of Power. Although the Tournament of Power is a really hard stage to adapt into a map because you either make it lore accurate and make it super massive, or you just kind of go with the easy approach of making it a bit smaller but making you fight only in one corner of it, so that way, you know, there's a suspension of disbelief that other stuff is going on. I don't think they'll adapt the Tournament of Power in the story mode, by the way. I have to say that Tournament of Power is such a like messy arc to adapt into the story mode. You would basically only be adapting a few key events and not actually the whole thing because there's so much that goes on in it. So it wouldn't, I think it's one of those really difficult arcs to put into a story mode, unless if you kind of just do what they do with the Cell Saga in Xenoverse 1 story mode, where they just skip all the way to Perfect Cell. That's probably the only way you would be able to adapt it, that you just kind of skip massive portions of it and just get straight to like the end or something. Speaking of new stages, if they do obviously adapt Dragon Ball Daima, I can imagine for the most part the only stage they would really be concerned about is either the Tamagami 3 fight location to obviously adapt that fight, the Tamagami 2 fight location because SSJ3 Daima Vegeta first appears there, or most realistically and most obviously, which is the same option as Sparking Zero did, they just go straight to the first Demon World's giant stage that King Goma makes and everyone fights him in. That's probably the most likely one they would do, but I would still like to see some variants of like a Daima story mode take place, or some parts of even Dragon Ball Super take place. I mean, we know we're getting DBS Broly at least, because finally they have an ice stage, right? Maybe for part 1, it's an ice stage, and then they can have a big transitioning effect where Broly does a big AoE, and you know, you just go to a lava stage. Kind of like the way Xenoverse adapts the Namek transition to Dying Namek, where they have Frieza just throw a death ball, they play the quest complete screen, and then when the loading is done, you're just on Dying Namek. Like, that's probably the way they'll do it in the story mode. But when it comes to Dragon Ball Daima, I feel like the easiest thing to do is to just give us the small versions of the characters at the end of the saga, and then have them, you know, obviously be the big versions as well at the end of the saga. And they better not skim out on those characters too when it comes to the Daima characters, because you could literally just slightly rework GT Goku to make a Daima SSJ3 Kid Goku moveset. And you can also slightly rework adult, like, you know, Z Goku to make a Daima Goku moveset. I mean, I'm talking about for adult Goku's sake, because it would be really nice to have a Super Saiyan 3 Goku that turns into a Super Saiyan 4 Goku. I don't think they'll do that from GT to GT Super Saiyan 4, but they can easily do that from Daima SSJ3 to Daima SSJ4. So I would really like to see that, but that's an awoken skill thing. That's not even a point of the video. I just can't help but talk about awoken skills, because there's just so much damn potential for transformations in this game, especially now that we know 100,000,000% that this game was massively inspired by Dragon Ball The Breakers, which was going to be the original Dragon Ball Xenoverse 3, in which you'd be able to transform as any form you want. And not to mention, Dragon Ball The Breakers is most likely where they got the technology to actually feasibly have underground stages, which is what we're seeing in the ice map here. There is a giant surface area and there's a massive underground area, something that Dragon Ball The Breakers kind of excels at, but that's mostly because the game is like an asymmetrical game. I'm not sure how this works in Xenoverse. I think it'll just be a multi-layered like stage rather than, oh, there's a big long tunnel that leads into a massive cave, and in this massive cave there's other massive stuff in this massive cave. Like, I think it's just going to be, if you sledgehammer an enemy hard enough and they break through the ice, then underneath the ice there's a giant ice cavern, and then you guys can fight down there for a bit. And this will mostly be to just add more chaos to parallel quests and 3v3 versus matches, where you'd obviously be, you know, doing a bunch of crazy stuff. Hell, parallel quests have you flying all over the place just to speak to different NPCs and like fly through portals and stuff like that. So seeing how they're going to redo parallel quest maps in this game is actually going to be very interesting. Why are they edging us so much on the gameplay trailer? I just want to see the gameplay trailer already so I can confirm all of these things. Gameplay trailers are way easier to break down. There's way more stuff to see in a gameplay trailer. Makes it far easier to understand what's going on. And I would really like to see one anytime soon. We already know we're going to get one before the next V-Jump cover issue, so that's good. If we do get a gameplay trailer, I imagine it's going to be at the end of this month, like literally the last few days of this month, or the beginning of the next month. Because again, that's probably the best time to release it. Then we just have to only wait like another 20 days for the next V-Jump tease. And then after that, we only have to wait like another like a week and a half to get the next gameplay trailer, if they are going to be doing these on a monthly basis. So I think we're only going to have to wait a very short amount of time to actually see this trailer fully. And when they obviously reveal this gameplay trailer, they're going to show more than just this new stage. They'll probably show some of the hub world and running around the hub world, and some of the opening cinematic or other things that, you know, are relevant to the start of the game, because it's a gameplay trailer. They're going to usually show all forms of gameplay. Oh, that'd be really nice to see, because even though we have these screenshots, we still don't have a great idea as to how the graphics of Xenoverse 3 are going to look entirely based off of these screenshots. Because Xenoverse 3 looks kind of very similar to Xenoverse 2 if you look at screenshots like the one with the lady doing the God Fist in it. But then it looks extremely different to Xenoverse 2 if you look at stuff like the image of Trunks at the bottom and the image of the Super Saiyan Awoken skill at the bottom as well. So it just looks very, very different sometimes and very the same sometimes. But a big moving version of this game that we get to see with the sound and all the other different effects would let us know truly how much more beautiful it's going to look. And man, still can't wait to see all these new stages, because again, Xenoverse 2 stages are actually quite fun to fight on. The only one I would say that I don't really like too much is the Tournament of Power, because Zeno mic spams you. Hopefully they change that in Xenoverse 3's Tournament of Power. Maybe we have an option to disable Zeno's yapping. They'll probably forget to add that. But I do think that's probably a great place to end the video, guys. I do hope you guys enjoyed the video. And if you enjoyed the video, and obviously again, please leave a like on the video. Don't forget to subscribe, as it greatly supports the channel. And leave a comment down below as to what you'd like to see next, fellas. Again, I do love you all. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. Take care and peace. Bye-bye.